So back to the governance synergy. There's a way through this. You heard me speak about the 3 local governments that we have. They've got their own cultures, their own priorities. Nothing wrong with that. That's what they do. But they're different. We need one over the whole thing. It would be really good if we had an entity, maybe called the Western Trade Coast Development Authority, and it was a government entity with many private sector brains running it, and it would be responsible for everything essentially from road maintenance to international business development and attraction. So it would encompass everything. The Western Trade Coast Development Authority. This is what needs to happen in this industrial area. It would create a strategic plan, and it would do joint ventures. It would find an industrial land developer to work in the Wattleup area, joint venture partnership, to bring that land on quicker. It's too big and too complex for the current situation to be able to handle. So that needs to change, and the only way for that to change, pipeline governance I spoke about, these things. So the governance leg of the chair is the weakest leg. We need to strengthen it, and in my 12 and a bit years in this job, I have seen the governance for the Western Trade Coast, although it wasn't called that way back then, get more complex, more cumbersome, more difficult to deal with, less welcoming of industry. So part of that development authority would be doing the concierge role for assisting those new governments to get through the statutory process, those new industries to get through the statutory processes. And we've got an election coming up here in the not too distant future, so we will be putting that up as a proposal. So it would help to run the project for the new port whenever that happens, transitioning whenever that happens. And there are a number of big projects that it could facilitate. Remember I said the AMC was successful, a really good example of build it and they will come, and a government doing that, of the day doing that. Well, that's the facilitation of that industrial development is what the Western Trade Coast Development Authority could do. And I'm really hopeful, very, very hopeful, that that's going to occur. Now, we're taking a bit of a side track here. I wanted to show you some of the higher level views down over the industrial area. So I've just done something I don't usually do on the tour, but I'm doing that this time to give you a view of the extent of it. But just to finish on the governance, I don't want this to sound negative, because there's a lot of good people in government, in the government departments, but they are process driven. They have to be. Processes generate new processes, and so processes beget processes. So we've now got complexity building on complexity. We need to get in and cut it right back so that industries can get approvals quickly, that each industry that comes into this industrial area that we're looking at each one of them doesn't need to go and get a flora and fauna plan, doesn't need to go and do a bushfire management plan. There's so many plans that each industry that comes in has to do, and it's just totally inefficient, but the process says they have to be done. So the Development Authority would have all of those plans, and so Covalent coming in, for example, would be the condition would be to do a critter relocation plan. Well, here's the plan, and you just got it. Covalent just has to say yes, I agree. It's as simple as that. Rather than consultants getting rich by doing these same plans all over the place, a plethora of them. They all cost $30,000 or $40,000 each. It's a cost that adds up for industries coming into the industrial area. So let's get that simplified. Let's get it really simple so we're facilitating that industrial development.